Hi there, Jess at Sister Sue's Crochet. So in this video, I want to show you guys how to make a slip stitch. A slip stitch is, I guess it's considered a stitch, but it's not really a stitch. It's kind of like a way that you can move through your work without making any kind of height. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I have here a row of double crochet that I've made. So I'm just going to chain one and turn so that I can show you how to make this slip stitch, because even though it is considered a stitch, it would be really difficult to make a starting chain and then just do slip stitches back. So I'm going to do it on this double crochet instead. So I'm going to go right back into the first stitch here, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take that loop and you're going to pull it through the first loop, like so, and that's considered a slip stitch. So let's do another one. Go into your next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now take that loop and pull it through the other. Again, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull out a loop, and then pull that loop through the previous loop. So as you can see, as we're working here, we're kind of working on top of these double crochets, and we're not making any real height. It's kind of staying, you know, the same. It looks like just the one row of double crochets. And so this technique is really helpful if you're making an infinity scarf and you wanted to, you know, make your scarf, and then at the end you want to slip stitch the two ends together to make them, you know, in a circle. And so that's what slip stitching is good for in that aspect. It's also good for if you were doing, let's say that you were making like a sweater, and there would be certain parts that you would be, like a panel for your arm or something. You would be increasing on this one part over here, but over here you'd be slip stitching, so that way that it kind of is like increased and then flat. So it's a good way that you can skip a few stitches if that's what your pattern calls for, and it will tell you in the pattern to, you know, to do a slip stitch. It's not something that you just have to know how, you know that, oh, I need a slip stitch here. It'll tell you. But like I said, it is kind of more of a technique to like work down your row and not really add any height to it. So it's, you know, if you kept doing rows of slip stitches, you're going to end up adding a little bit of height. But for the most part, you're not really going to be doing that. You're going to just be using a slip stitch when you're joining two things together. Or another good example is if you're working in the round. A lot of times you have to do a slip stitch when you get to the end of your round to join the circle, so that way that you can keep going in a circle. And we will talk about working in the round a little bit later, but so that is how you execute a simple slip stitch. And as you can see, it still has that V. So we have the front loop and the back loop there, and this would just continue to go down your row just like any other row of stitches. You would have one slip stitch per stitch that's in that row. So hopefully this wasn't too confusing for you, because I feel like it's clear as mud right now. But that is what a slip stitch is, and that's what a slip stitch does. It just kind of, you know, moves down your row. So it's very easy to do. I know when I first started, I always wanted to do a single crochet and yarn over and pull through those two loops out of habit. But you really want to catch yourself and just pull that loop through the other loop. So you're really, the only time that you're yarning over in this is you go into your next stitch, yarn over, and that's it. And then you pull this loop through the other loop and just kind of work your way down. So let me get to the end here so I can show you what the whole row looks like. Okay. So we have one row of double crochet, and then we have a whole row of slip stitches on top of that. And really, it's kind of, you know, you can't really tell that there's anything more than just double crochet going on here. So that is why a slip stitch is necessary and what it does. So hopefully this has taught you something about how to make a slip stitch and when a slip stitch is good for your work. So any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below. You can also look me up on Facebook at facebook.com/sistersuz, SISTERSUZ. And that is my Facebook Sister Sue's Crochet page. So if you wanted to find me on there, send me a message if you have any questions or anything, or you can leave them below on this video. So thanks again for watching.